welcome to Matt's Garage. Here with another PT Cruiser repair video. Today I'm going to be flushing the power steering system on my mom's 2003 PT Cruiser Dream Cruiser. It's a turbocharged PT, so it's got the steering reservoir down there, not up there. And it's also got a cooler in the radiator. So here we go, you can see the lines that go back there to the rack and up here into the bottom of the radiator. So it's got a internal cooler inside the radiator there, and what we want to do is find the return line, which is this line. You can tell because it's smaller and it's lower pressure hose. You can tell by the kind of hose that's a higher pressure line there, and also bigger. So that's going to be the feed line that feeds the rack. It's the coming off the pump, the high pressure line, and we want to flush off the return line. That way our fluid travels all the way through the rack and back to the cooler before we capture it. That way it's kind of doing a total system flush, and we'll move the steering back and forth as we're doing the flush to purge out the rack there and get all the old fluid out of it. So you want to have the car jacked up for that reason, so the wheels turn easily, and also so you have room to get under here. This is just a 1/4 inch on this hose clamp. Just you need a 1/4 inch nut driver, works good, or you can use a straight blade screwdriver too, but I'm going to grab a nut driver here. Okay, I've got my 1/4 inch nut driver. I've also got a semi-clean drain pan just to see what comes out and to capture what comes out. So we'll just get in here and crack this loose. Couldn't be much easier. It's on there. Of course I missed. There we go. So this stuff was back in the days when Chrysler had a transparent power steering fluid, like a clear, and now they have a red, but that would have been the clear, so it's not actually that dark. It's a little dark. It's due for a change, but it's not burnt or anything bad. So we're just going to flush it out here. I've got 2 liters. It should be more than enough to do the flush, and it should come out the line here, so it should just squirt right into that pan. Okay, this is pretty basic procedure, but one thing you want to do is take the cap off while you're doing the flush. And the reason is the cap is vented, but the vent's not going to allow enough air in to make up for the amount of fluid we're going to be pumping out. So just leave the cap off, and also make sure to top up the system. You can see that one's, well, it's down to like the cold full, so we'll add a little bit to it so that we have a bit more to flush through, and then of course we'll keep topping it up as we go. So I got to get a funnel, I guess, because there's no way I'm gonna nail that from here. So with the cap open, the system's actually draining out through the cooler, which is fine. That saves me some flushing. I'll just let that drain out, and then we'll fill it up. Okay, so I'm actually going to go up there and top up that reservoir, and then I'm going to run the flush. I'm going to start the engine for a minute, cycle the steering, and then I'll shut it down before it sucks air into the system, top it up, go again. Okay guys, the reservoir is right full. I'm going to start it and cycle the steering. Okay, I'm going to do that again really quick here. So there you go, that's how you flush out your power steering system. I would recommend a much larger drain pan is all. I don't know if you guys could see all the mess from your camera angle, but there it is. Okay, so now we're just going to reconnect the hose here. You can see the nice red fluid flowing out, so you know we got that new fluid all the way through the system. And we'll just do up the hose clamp Then we just have to make sure the system's topped up and all the air's purged out. So I'll show you how to do that. So basically what we have to do now is make sure the reservoir is topped up. And then with the keys off, actually, we're going to cycle the steering. Because with the pump running, it tends to just cavitate in the pump, and then you get more air circulating through the system. So if you actually move the steering from lock to lock with the car off, it'll push the air bubbles out of the rack and they'll come up through the reservoir. You just keep doing that, and then you start it up and run it. Do it while it's running, shut it off. It's kind of a ongoing process you got to do sometimes 3-4 times before you get all the air out of the system. So let's get started with that. Okay guys, you'll just see the wheel cycling from lock to lock, and then I'm occasionally going to get out and check the fluid level. So just like that, at about that rate of speed, you don't want to go too quick or you'll create more bubbles. Just take it slow and easy. There's not very many bubbles in the reservoir, so I'm going to try starting it quick, and then if it starts to whine, that means there's bubbles in it, so then I'll shut it down, let it sit for a bit for the bubbles to rise up and settle out, and then we'll do the purge with the engine off again, cycle the steering, and then we'll start it again, and it's just a repetition of that cycle until you get all the air out. So you could hear it start to whine there, and that means that there's foam in the reservoir. So now we're going to wait about 10 minutes, and then we'll start cycling it slowly with the engine off. And I think if we do that once more and then start it once more, it will probably be good. See what I mean, guys? It gets like that pink foam in there. So if you see that, just give it a break. Let it sit for a while. That'll clear up pretty quick, and then you can go again. That is actually progress. Those bubbles will all rise up out of there, and you'll be getting rid of that much air out of the system. So I'm going to top that up a bit too, because it is a bit low. So I'm just going for round 2 of cycling the steering, and then we'll try another start. There's no bubbles in the reservoir now. It's about 15 minutes since I last ran it. I think it might be good, guys. We'll check out the reservoir. So there you go. That's what you're looking for. Glassy, smooth, and red. No bubbles. So now we just got to confirm the level. So you want to check your power steering fluid level with the car off. It's better to check it hot. I'd say this is warm, not hot. But anyways, it does have a cold and a hot full. So we'll just dip that in there and see what we get. Okay, and we're just on the add mark, so we're just going to come up a little bit, put a dribble in there. So I did use about 1.5 liters or around 2 quarts, a little over 1.5 liters, so about 2 quarts of this power steering plus 4. I like to use the Mopar brand power steering and transmission fluid. Okay, that's probably sufficient. Let that drip for a minute. There we go, that's what we're looking for. It's just under the full mark, and it will come right up to the full mark when it's hot, no problem. So we'll leave it there. I'm just noticing there's a little debris around the ridge of where that cap seals, so I'll just try and get in there and wipe that. See? Okay, so that is how you flush your power steering system basically, and change out your old power steering fluid. And it's a good idea to do this because your power steering system works under very high pressures, and if you get grit in there and stuff, it's really brutal on the system. It can't handle that. Same with transmissions. It's very similar. They both work on hydraulic pressure, and they're sensitive to foreign materials in the system. So it's a good idea to do this, I don't know, every 3 to 5 years, I guess. Most people never do it, so if you do it every 3 to 5 years, you're doing better than most. Okay, and that pretty much concludes how to flush out your power steering system. I hope you found the video helpful and informative. Thanks a lot for watching Matt's Garage. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have yourself a great day.